Hi, everyone. My name is Rome Melnikov, and I want to welcome and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us tonight. I think you will appreciate tonight's program. I came to our nutritional company because of my personal health challenges. I love being able to offer people something to help them be stronger and help their immune systems. Something I've always been interested in is gut health. I think after Lisa presents, you will understand why. So tonight we have Lisa Swift, who is a gut health expert. Let me go and just move this recording to speaker there. We need someone to mute their line there. So tonight we have Lisa Swift, who's a gut health expert. She's a holistic health coach, and she attended the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. She also earned a gut health certificate. She will share what you can do to make a difference for the microbiome in your gut to heal and attain vibrant health. Lisa?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ro, for that introduction. Let me share my screen. Pull up the presentation. Can everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ro, for the introduction. Yes, my name is Lisa Swift. And about 15 years ago, I found this amazing company that found out a way to put fruits and vegetables in a capsule. And at the time, I was actually looking for a solution because I had just lost both of my in-laws to cancer. And my presentation that I attended, I got it right away because I realized there is a huge correlation between nutrition and disease. So that just started my journey of helping others. This company's brought me to take more certifications so that I can help others. My mission is to help people live longer. And I know that if we can fix their gut, now I know gut health is a huge new topic, but it's really the most integral part of fixing our health and helping our health. So it's been a blessing to me, and I'm very grateful. And it's just changed the whole trajectory of my life. So here we go. We'll get started. So what is gut health? Well, it's basically our gut is the forgotten organ, but now we know there's so much new research coming out on just what an integral part it is for everything in our body. Why do we want to pay attention to this? All of our health starts in the gut, and disease too. So 70% of our immune system and 90% of our serotonin, which is our happy neurotransmitter, right? That's huge. A lot of people having issues with mental health, and a lot of it we can repair if we can repair their gut, we can make big changes. So it's an ecosystem. It helps us to digest, assimilate, and eliminate. And that is key, you guys. Elimination every day, even after every meal, would be ideal, which does not usually happen in the US. But that once a day is huge. We definitely need to eliminate. And it's so important. Like collectively, all of our microbes weigh about 5 pounds, right? That's huge. They influence almost every organ in our body, including turning our genes on and off, which is the new field of epigenetics. So just because your father had heart disease and your mother might have had breast cancer, that does not mean that you have to ride in that car. You can totally change it and keep those genes turned off. So for me, for instance, my dad had ALS and a few of my cousins. So I know it's in the family. So I am doing everything I can do to keep those genes turned off by eating healthy and keeping my gut health super healthy. So diversity is the key. So we want to eat a lot of different foods. We don't want to eat the same thing every day. The best thing you can do is just mix it up, just like with your exercise, mix it up and have all different variety of foods every single day. Because this also impacts, like we said, our digestion, disease, autoimmune diseases, immunity, inflammation, and more. I mean, it's really responsible for everything. So you can see why it's such an integral part of our health. It's as unique as your fingerprint, but it responds to diet. So you can always change. You can always get better. You can always fix your gut health because it does respond to diet. And it's evolved with us, so it's very adaptable. And what I've learned recently is that, before we go into this, is that it starts right in the mother's womb, right in utero. So what they're finding is that if a baby is born through C-section, they're not getting the mother's microbes. So they can do something like it's called a vaginal swabbing. And you can talk to your doctor about that, and where they can swab the germs onto the baby, which you definitely want to get. So that's one thing. Breastfeeding is huge for the microbiome. They're finding that after 4 months, it raises the bifidobacteria in the babies, and that is huge too. That's a really great microbe that we want. So if you can do that, if you can do both of those, preferably vaginal and breastfeeding, you're really setting your baby up for very healthy adulthood. There's other things too that go in there. So if you have a dog, if you whenever you introduce solid foods, all of those things, if your baby has had any antibiotics, those are all destroying the microbes. So they can affect us as we get older, if that makes sense. If you have a normal microbiome, that's great. But if it's altered in any way, it can affect your metabolism, your obesity, cardiometabolic issues, and even our immune system, as we know, and even our enteric nervous system, which is related with some autism. So if we can get these moms really eating healthy and fixing their gut while they're pregnant, what a difference. We might see some huge changes, which I would absolutely love. So what are signs of an unhealthy gut? So you might have some gas or bloating. A lot of people see that with SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Moodiness, anxiety, or depression, like we talked about, the gut-brain axis. Chronic fatigue, you might be tired, not know why. You might be gaining weight, you don't know why. Eczema, any kind of skin conditions, right? Those are all itises. And poor concentration. So these are just some things you might notice. You might say, oh, these could be related to my gut health. Let me try to make some changes. So our bacteria in our gut, they're really the largest contributor to our metabolic processes, which is kind of cool. And there's 100 trillion bacteria in the large intestines, composed of several different strains. So that's why you need top of the line bacteria. And the funny thing is, there are 10 times more microbial cells than human cells, 100 trillion, like we had said. In the human genome, there's 23,000. In your microbiome, there's 3 million. So huge, right? That's crazy. So they serve as the gatekeepers for our digestive system. They protect us. They help us digest our food. So fiber is not digestible. It goes straight through to the colon, and it ferments in the colon, and it creates these short chain fatty acids such as butyrate, which is wonderful to lower the inflammation in the body. Your gut bacteria also creates the vitamin K. It's only produced by bacteria. Your amino acids, your amino acid profile, like we said, the short chain fatty acids, which is great. All your neurotransmitters, your enzymes, and we need enzymes as we get older because we kind of lose those, right? So it's really important. Some people I recommend, if they have lots of reflux, to take some digestive enzymes. That certainly cannot hurt you, can only help. It also helps to starve out the harmful bacteria. So say you were exposed to a pathogen, if you have a healthier gut, you're not going to maybe get that bacteria because your body's going to be able to fight it better. So it really can help you with starving out the harmful bacteria. And it sends our system regulatory signals that control functions, your hunger, your motility, your leptin, your ghrelin. And like we said, protects against the pathogens. And the ratios of gut can reflect or influence your weight. It's interesting, right? All of the stuff that it does, your insulin resistance, too much sugar in the body, inflammation, your hunger, food cravings too, even your food cravings, why people crave food, hormones, dietary changes can alter your gut bacteria, both short and long term. So a lot of people that were away on spring break last month were like, oh my gosh, my gut is so bad right now because I've been eating all this sad American food and I can feel it. But the good thing is you can change it. So we can start eating better the next day. And the bacteria can change quickly based on foods eaten. So even when you travel and go places, your gut bacteria is going to change, which is kind of cool. But if you're eating well, you'll be good. Because we know the sad American diet that correlates with lower diversity. And remember, the diversity is super important to have a greater diversity in your gut. Otherwise, as we know, it can lead to more health conditions, which, heart disease, strokes, cancers, things like that. And the greater bacteria, healthier, more resilient ecosystem. So there's two types of bacteria, and that's what they saw in the breast milk, more of the firmicutes, which is kind of cool. So they need to be in balance, or it can be hard to lose weight. So we've noticed that obese individuals have less bacterial diversity and more firmicutes, which is the bacteria that can negatively affect fat and glucose metabolism. And then there's the bacteroides, and they're favorable in the gut because they contain those short chain fatty acids such as butyrate. So that can help with obesity, because our metabolites are created in our gut, and they're compounds that are generated by beneficial bacteria. So it's really, really important to have that good bacteria. They also help us generate our B vitamins, our digestive enzymes, and our short chain fatty acids, all which are really crucial for good health. So stress. So many people are so stressed. I mean, we're coming out of COVID, right? Who isn't stressed or hasn't been stressed? There's, just a lot more, it's just been very tough on a lot of people. So any type of real or perceived mental, emotional, or physical factors you see here that initiates the fight or flight, the sympathetic nervous system, that's going to be a problem for our body. We want to get more into that parasympathetic nervous system to more relax, because this also creates a lot of problems with our gut. And, you've heard of people saying like, oh, I was very stressed out, and like 2 years later, they've had cancer. So we really need to find ways to combat that stress, and it will fix our gut as well. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, but if you get nervous about something in your brain, it affects your gut. So it's all connected. It's just kind of crazy. So not all stress is bad. Some kind of like short-term stress, like running, doing your HIIT exercises, or an unperceived stress, like your dog runs in the road and you have to run out and quickly and get them. That's all good because that's short term. It's the long, because that's going to help, as you see, with focus and performance, but it's that long-term stress that's affecting us and affecting our gut health. It actually lowers the stomach acid, which we need for proper digestion of our micro and macronutrients. Elevated blood sugars can occur. Food intolerances and allergies, all of these things, increased belly fat, because we know the cortisol is going to rise, your inflammation, increased risk of SIBO that I spoke about before, and leaky gut, which is where the proteins leak out of the junctures, and that can create havoc with your organs and your gut. And people can have bloating and all of the gut symptoms that we spoke about earlier. And of course, lowered immunity. And right now, we all need really strong immune systems. If people don't pick it up now, I don't know when they're going to. There's never been a more important time. So what are some things we can do? So how you eat is just as important as what you eat. And I learned this many years ago when I went to the Miraval Resort. Like, we have to be mindful when we're eating. We can't just shovel our food and eat on the go. You want to eat, relax, have, sit down, talk to your partner, whoever, but really chew your food, really enjoy it. Like it's your last meal, just enjoy it. Chew it good, because it's easier to digest than when you are swallowing big chunks of food. So really savor it, put your fork down between each bite. And that's hard to do. It's really hard to do, but if you focus on it, you can do it. And then just being mindful, really just being mindful, that really, really helps with your digestion, believe it or not. And then my favorite breath is the 4-7-8 breath. So you can all do it together. So what you're going to do is you're going to breathe in for 4, you're going to hold it for 7, and then you're going to let it out for 8. Okay. All right, let's go. We're going to start breathing in for 4. Okay, now let it out for 8. How does that feel? So they say that just doing that breath 3 times in the morning and 3 times at night, it can be as effective as antidepressant medications. So I really do believe in breathing. I think it's one of the best things we can do to get our oxygen flowing and get ourselves healthier as well. And just get us into that parasympathetic nervous system, right? So what food should we be consuming? What should we eat? Well, we always say plant-based is best, but even if you just did 80% from plant-based sources, it really doesn't matter what the rest is. If 80% of the time, rather, you're eating mostly plant-based, the other 20%, it doesn't matter, because you're going to have those days where you're going to have parties, you're going to have cheat days. That's life. But the other 20%, you want to focus on, good, clean, organic, pasteurized eggs, grass-fed meats, and poultry, because what happens if you're not? If you're eating that conventional meat, and I remember we learned this at IIN, there could be a piece of cancer on this part of the cow. They'll cut that off and you're still going to get this part. Do you want that? No. So what you want to do is focus on getting all organic meats. You don't want those hormones. You don't want the pesticides in your body. And that's what's happening when we're eating these meats. So, plant-based is great, but if you're eating meat, just try to focus on, the more organic as best you can. And then we know the 30 plants per week make for the diverse microbiome. There's been research on that. And they, the vitamins and the fiber, which we're going to talk about in a minute, equals a healthy bacteria. And that's what we want. Also heart healthy fat. So wild caught salmon twice a week. Dr. Sears talks about that, how especially for babies too, when they get old enough to eat, making them little fat heads. Those are really good oils. The omega-3s, the tuna, cod, walnuts, avocados, those are great sources of healthy fats for our heart. So always focus on the wild caught if you can, because a lot of the salmon that's farm raised, it's not healthy. It has just as many antibiotics. So, you're better off, honestly, just doing the wild caught. And I know when we go out to restaurants, a lot of that does not occur. That's the problem. So we do the best we can do, right? Maybe that's your 20%, but you're still getting in some of the oils from the fish. So what should you eat? Polyphenols are great. Chocolate, not milk chocolate, dark chocolate, 80% or higher would be great. It's a great prebiotic too, which we'll talk about. Coffee, fruits, red wine, obviously, alcohol in moderation. Tea, green tea is great. So these are all compounds that are going to enhance our health, and they feed the good gut bacteria. And if that has a positive effect on your weight management and immune function, that's huge. Always whole form is best. 5 ingredients or less. You can never trust the front of the package. You always want to look on the back and see if, 5 ingredients or less, and make sure the other ingredients aren't a lot of things you don't understand. Because even with supplements, people don't get a lot of these other things are in there that are harming us. And even though they're in small amounts, if you're doing it on a daily basis, it adds up. So what else? Warm foods, they're generally easier for people if they have very severe gut issues, garlic, onions, all those things that are prebiotics we're going to talk about. Those things I would hold off on, but warm foods are usually good for the gut to tolerate for anyone, really. Always steamed, baked, never grilled or fried, because all of those oils are oxidized and they go rancid, and they definitely are on the list of carcinogenic foods. And then, of course, best to cook the majority of your meals at home, because where that food is coming from most of the time. And especially if you're growing on your tower garden, which is even better, right? And then probiotics. So probiotics are great for our gut. You can certainly take a supplement, but there's also other, you could eat a lot of fermented foods. Even a tablespoon of sauerkraut a day is great. Your sourdough bread, if you're making your own, a lot of people are making their own these days. Tofu, tempeh. Tempeh has a great amount of protein. Miso, kombucha, all of these are high in that lactobacillus species, and that's really good for the immune system, and it helps make the peace between the good and bad bacteria. So your nutrients will absorb better. So yeah, you could do either one. And then the prebiotics we spoke about. So those are like your bananas, asparagus. I just bought a big bunch of that today. Berries. That's been my treat every night now, because I'm off chocolate for Lent. So I've been basically having frozen berries with some cocoa whip. The garlic, the onions, like we spoke about. Green tea is even a great probiotic and a very big cancer fighter. So I'm a big fan of green tea. And then the FOS is called fructooligosaccharides. And that is a prebiotic that's actually in our complete protein, which I love, because I start my day with that. And so I'm getting all of these prebiotics because I put in their berries, I put in their bananas. So imagine getting a good amount of prebiotics first thing in the morning, which is setting my gut up to be super healthy. Apples have like 100 million bacteria. They're a great form of prebiotic. Artichokes, and then even cooking with spices like turmeric, ginger, those are all great to take down inflammation. And this is my favorite topic. Fiber. It's incredible for your body. We need about 30 to 35 grams every single day. And that's going to help us eliminate. If we have that fiber, we're golden. It feeds the healthy bacteria in the gut. This is why I'll never be a fan of keto, because you need this good fiber in your body. I mean, there's no other way to say it. It helps you eliminate, helps lower your cholesterol. It helps create those short chain fatty acids in your colon. It's really that important. And it helps with the glycemic control, because today, even with COVID, a lot of people had a lot of blood sugar issues. Keeping your glycemic level under control is really important. Now, I would say work your way up. So if you're not used to eating, a lot of fiber, like I do 2 tablespoons of flax seeds every day. And if you guys do flax seeds, make sure they're whole and keep them in the refrigerator. And then when you put them into your smoothie, they'll release all the nutrients, which is great. And I do the same with my chia seeds, because they can get bugs if you keep them in the pantry. So keep them in your refrigerator and gradually work your way up. But these are just some great forms of fiber. If you're going to do steel cut oatmeal, which I only recommend, if you're doing that in the morning, make sure you have another form of good protein with that. You always want to start your day with low sugar, fiber, and protein. If you do that, you're going to have way less sugar cravings. So many people struggle with that. And it's a simple little tool that you can do. Just focus on the fiber and the protein and watch your sugar cravings change. It's crazy. But the thing about fiber is, you can do the bread, you can do the sprouted bread is always better. Make sure everything you're using is non-GMO. That's the key here, because most of this stuff is sprayed with Roundup. There's actually 42,000 lawsuits right now out on Roundup. There's been a lot with the hot lymphoma and things like that. People have said they got lymphoma. So that's sprayed everywhere. It's all over people's lawns and things like that. So we don't want that in our food. So make sure you look for the non-GMO label. And that's it. Make it simple. If it doesn't say that, you don't want it. I noticed Pepperidge Farm goldfish contains bioengineered ingredients, and a lot of the produce today is saying that. So I would highly recommend look at the back of the label again. If it says that, put it back. You don't want all of that in your body. And then sugar. I mean, I know so many people struggle with sugar. That's why that little trick of starting in the morning makes a big difference, because it will stimulate harmful bacteria, people eating too much sugar. And also the sad American diet, like we spoke about, because you're going to have a less diverse microbiome. It's going to put the kibosh on your good bacteria. Artificial sweeteners. People don't realize, okay, so there's sucralose. Sucralose is just Splenda. And they might think it's like a glucose or something, or fructose. It's Splenda. And all of these negatively affect our blood sugar. And aspartame is just a toxin. It's a neurotoxin. It's not good for us at all. So I myself do the Sweet Leaf Organic, it's a stevia. And always look at those too, because a lot of them now they're saying erythritol is causing heart issues too. Look at them. If it doesn't just say stevia and it has all these other things in there, put that one back too. Look for just those ingredients. Very, very important. And then gluten. So, gluten, we know the glyphosate, it's not the gluten per se, because you could get a Ezekiel bread that's healthy. And everything in moderation, but the glyphosate, like we said, disrupts the integrity of our microbiome, and that can lead to the leaky gut. So should everybody eliminate gluten? No. In moderation, I think it's fine. We do our shred program every month, which we give up gluten, which is fine. It's 10 days. And people that, a lot of the people that are on the shred maybe are not used to not eating gluten. So they see a really big difference. They see a big difference in those 10 days. And some people are like, you know what, I can do without that. I can do without this, So It's entirely up to you, but the main thing is getting that non-GMO verified label. That is crucial. And then heavy drinking, as we know, is not good for any of us. We know alcohol is a toxin, plain and simple, and it overstimulates the gut, which increases our inflammation, which we don't want. We really want to take our inflammation down. So what else can we do? So we can exercise. They've seen when activity levels are increased, there's been shifts in the microbiome. So it shows that it has effects on both beneficial bacteria and diversity. Huge. Even a 10-minute walk. If someone's not used to walking, I say, just get up and go out and take 10-minute walk down the street. That action will create the motivation. Once you do it, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna probably want to go another 10 minutes, right? It's just getting that action in place, and you could do it. And then water. So I will never drink out of a plastic water bottle unless I am, traveling or in a place where I don't have another option. But I purchased a Berkey water filter at my house, and I take the hose and just put it in there, takes out the fluoride, all the contaminants, and I take my always, some kind of water bottle, stainless steel, glass, and take it with me every day. That's super important to get at least half your body weight in ounces of clean water. And then obviously sleeping to 7 to 8 hours at night. When we don't, we can get very hungry and we can crave a lot more food. And a lot of times it's the food that's not good for us. So sleep is super important. I myself do intermittent fasting. I think it's a great way. If anybody's having gut issues, it's something to work towards. I'm not going to say you're going to go right away and do 16 hours of intermittent fasting. Start with 12. That's what I did 3 years ago, and work your way up, and just work your way up. Now I do 16 to 18, depending on the day. And it helps me to drink my green tea in the morning. If you need to put some electrolytes in your water, you certainly can. You can even put a little splash of Himalayan salt. That's another thing. Make sure you're getting a good clean Himalayan salt, because there's been a lot of plastics found in those as well. And just work your way up with the intermittent fasting, because what it does, like with the shred too, we give ourselves 3 hours before we go to bed to help our body to, while we're sleeping, to rest, not digest our food. We want to give our whole digestive system a rest and clean it out a little bit. Because this is the thing, there's something called the migrating motor complex. And when you start getting hungry, that's actually kind of a good sign. It means that it's vacuuming out all the bad cells. That's why there's some research that shows it helps protect you against cancer, because it's sweeping. It's like a little vacuum that sweeps. So don't be afraid of that hunger. Just let it go, have it for a little bit. And then when you're ready, then you eat. That's okay. That's okay. But it definitely helped me in menopause to keep my weight stable. It's been incredible. And I feel great. I love it. So that's just something people can do that are having gut issues, to try to give that digestive system a little rest. And then of course, your sunshine, your vitamin D in the morning is always great to get for a little bit. The morning sunshine's the best, but always make sure that you have K2 if you're taking a D supplement, because that'll ensure that your the calcium gets into your bones and not your arteries. There was some research that's showing that women were getting calcifications of the heart. So super, super important to make sure it has the K2 in your vitamin D. So Juice Plus. So what is Juice Plus? So Juice Plus is just fruits, vegetables, and berries in a capsule. It's been around for 30 years. It's the most researched product in the world. And really, they're just all of the growers that grow for us, just grow for us. They allow everything to vine ripen. And when they are ripened, they take them and they juice them. Now they do everything. They put everything in the slurry, the pits, the peels, the stems, the seeds. As you see, it's not juiced. And then they dry it at low temperatures and they preserve all the nutrition. So it's like juicing every day, but it's so much easier. You get the same health benefits. And so they're in capsules or chewables. And then we also have a full spectrum omega blend, and we bypassed the fish and we went straight to the algae. So with this blend right here, you have about 35 plants every day. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the complete. But you can imagine if you get this whole array of 30 different plants a day. Now remember, 30 a week made for a diverse microbiome. Imagine how your cells are going to light up when you get 30 every day. You're going to see it in your skin. You're going to see it everywhere. You're going to probably see it in your blood work over time. I love that they put lemon peel in both blends now to sustain a healthy pregnancy. We need to start helping these moms get Juice Plus. My goal is to have every pregnant mother on Juice Plus because it's changing future generations, their DNA, when they're getting all of these nutrients every day through their mom. And then we put beets in both blends, which beets are super healthy for us. And then elderberry, like I would never see that anywhere else, or bilberries, and they're so healthy for the immune system. So I love this elegant blend of all these beautiful plants. They're amazing plant powders, and they really do make a difference in our health. Because I can tell you, my husband is not, now he's eating more of these, but he's not eating half of these. I don't think many of us are. I think that's why this is such a great way to bridge the gap and to, have the research that shows it makes such a difference in our health, in our health markers. Why is it unique? It's not a multivitamin. I used to take Alive vitamins all the time and I still got sick. It has a food label, very different. It's non-GMO, vegan, kosher, dairy, and gluten-free. And it's NSF certified. So that's a third-party watchdog that says whatever we say is on the label is really in it. They police that. So there could be no banned substances. It's actually, they have it for sports. We were the official supplement for the London Olympics for many teams. And now the U.S. Training and Performance Center in Charlotte, North Carolina, this is their only supplement. This is what they're training their Olympic athletes with. So that's a big deal. That is really huge. And it is the most thoroughly researched product in the world. And if you ask that question to Siri, she will pull that up. It will pull up Juice Plus. And these are just some of the things that they've noticed over the years with these 42 published studies. And I believe absorbed by the body, which is close to the end, should be number one. If there's 18 studies on bioavailability, if it doesn't get into your bloodstream and do good things, why take it? We know that it does. And that's huge. And it reduces oxidative stress. That's huge. That's aging in the body, helps maintain a healthy DNA after 80 days, 66% reduction in DNA damage. That to me is huge. This was made for a cancer patient who had 3 weeks to live, and he lived an additional 6 years by adding all these plant powders into his body. Helps with lung function. It reduces oxidative LDL stress. And we don't want you to smoke, but it will help protect your lungs more than if you were not on this. And my favorite new one is that it impacts the gut microbiome on digestive health. It shows that it improved the diversity, which is exactly what we want. And the quality of life study, MD Anderson, that was huge with ovarian cancer survivors. They're studying our Juice Plus too. And, so many other things, healthy, lower systemic inflammation, helps with cardiovascular wellness. So I have seen all these throughout the years with myself and my customers and my friends. So I will, share this until I can't, because I really believe that it's made that much of a difference in our health. Same with my mom. I don't even know if I told you about my mom, but I may have. She's 89 and she's not been on anything in 14 and a half years. And she was always on cough syrups and antibiotics. So I've seen it in her and myself. So this research is what got me in the beginning when the nurse gave this talk that I went to. And it's still there for me because I've seen that this research has come true through all of my years of taking Juice Plus and seeing the testimonials and talking to people. And one of the things I love most about our company is we have a Healthy Starts program. They've just changed it. It started 3 years, children could get the product for free when sponsored by an adult. Now it's if you start, and starting May 1st, if you start when you're 4, you can get it free till you're 25 years old. That's kind of crazy. What company does that? So they really are, really worried, concerned about the health of our children. And I think if we can get kids eating more fruits and vegetables younger, they're going to be much healthier adults instead of all the pizza, macaroni and cheese, all the fried foods that these kids are eating young. We want to get away from that. So if we can get them wanting to eat more fruits and vegetables, and 61% were, that's huge. That's where we can make a difference. And 66% less doctor visits. Well, that's exactly what's happened to my family. So I'm very grateful for this. It's an amazing program that Juice Plus offers. And this is one of my favorite products that I break my fast with every day. This is our Juice Plus Complete. It has 7 grams of fiber. So when I add in the chia and the flax, I'm getting in probably another 10 grams of fiber. So right there, I'm almost half my way to my fiber content already, just with my Juice Plus. The broccoli sprouts have sulforaphane, very good for breast cancer prevention. Radish sprouts, alfalfa, chickpea, millet, quinoa, all these great grains working together. Water wash soy, so it's not isolated. There's nothing isolated about it. They have a Roy that grows our soy. He smashes it, safe, washes it with water, and boom, very safe and healthy, and protects against, for me, breast cancer is my biggest concern. So like Kim says, it's the safety of the soy that depends on the source. So the whole soy being minimally processed, like we have, is great. The best and balanced defense against disease. So I'm grateful. And then of course, mushrooms too. Mushrooms also prevent breast cancer. So I start my day with this. It keeps my blood sugar steady all day, like stabilizes blood sugar. I've seen that in myself. So this is what was studied in the gut microbiome. It was the complete and the capsules, the new study that just came out. And then of course, if we feel like every kitchen should have a tower garden, you can have the Tower Garden Home or the Tower Garden Flex and grow all year long. And nobody's touched your produce, because we know by the time you pick something up in the grocery store, 26 people have touched it. So you have your own produce. I love going in my backyard and just making my salad, putting my spinach in my smoothie. Everything tastes delicious and it's sustainable, you guys. 98% less water, 90% less space that you can fit anywhere. They grow 3 times faster, safe, nutrient-dense produce. And I can't say enough about it. And they've done, research at University of Mississippi comparing it to a soil garden. And they found that it had much more nutrient density. So there is no downside. These are wonderful. You can pay them over the year, once a month over the year, and you have it for life, which is huge. As long as you wash it up after every use, you have it forever, which is kind of cool. So yeah, love the Tower Garden. And I believe that is the end, guys. Let me pull that down. Stop the share. Okay. Does anybody?
Lisa, you taught us so much. I'm so grateful, all the wonderful things you shared with us and the great tips. Thank you for your experience, your wisdom, and more importantly, your time this evening. Individuals like you are so valuable to this community that we get to serve every day. Good
Thanks,
night.
Rachel.